Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans, YNR fans. Today's recap is for Thursday, July 21st, 2022. Thursday, July 21st, 2022. Before I begin, please, on the bottom here, there is a subscribe button right here at the bottom. Please push that button and subscribe to this YouTube channel. So this way you can get all the notifications on the different daily recaps. So push that subscribe button. All right, we have Nick and Victoria just having a nice long lunch there at Society. You know, of course, Adam is the focus of conversation, and then Victoria's like, he's just a dark cloud. I'm so happy he's away from Newman. She just always bashes Adam every chance she gets, and she says he's probably out trying to plot some kind of plan against us now, and just going on and on and on. And meanwhile, they show Adam, he's still in Victoria's office. That's the way it left off yesterday's episode. And Victor comes in. So Adam starts to have a talk with Victor. And Victor's like, have you come to your senses? Are you ready to come back, to Newman Media? That would make me happy. Victor really does want Adam to be back there. But Adam's like, no. If you really wanted me around, you would have kept me as CEO, So Victor's like, son, bottom line, you have a company, a division, that you were good at running it. Because actually, truth be told, yes, Victoria stepped away. Yes, she did. She had her own little master solo plan and she stepped away. But she was only gone a week. And here's the thing. It's not like Victoria wasn't a good CEO. She was definitely a good CEO to Newman Enterprises. And quite frankly, Adam knew his days could be numbered. He knew that all along. He just thought he would have more time to make a difference at Newman. I mean, it was just snatched right out from under him. And he's like, you've never really respected me. And Victor's like, oh God, I just can't, can't go through it again. And then he goes, so, Dad, look, you feel that Ashland Locke, just because his money was taken from him, that he's going to go away. He's like, Dad, we've got the grinning soul now exposing his cancer scheme, exposing, a number of things for Ashland Locke. You're putting him in this corner to where he's going to plot revenge. And Victor's like, I welcome revenge. There's nothing that punk can come up with, in other words, that he could do to us. And he's like, but Dad, you're assuming, I believe Ashland's going to make this personal. And he's like, almost like, bring it on. And so Adam was kind of like, you know what, I tried. I tried. Okay, Dad, you're the man. So I was actually surprised that Adam was actually looking for Victoria, because that's what he said he was there. He found Victoria and Nick at Society, and he told her that Ashland is going to make it personal. And I believe he's going to come out, he's out for blood. And Victoria's like, well, what's that supposed to mean? And he told him how he trashed his room, and everything has just been taken away from him. He's dangerous. And Victoria's like, well, he's never trashed it, never acted out like that before. But, still, I'm okay. I'm good. She definitely did not want Adam to see her sweat. And he was just like, you know what? Just consider yourself warned. He says, I may dislike you two, but I don't want anybody to get hurt, because he was point blank. I think it was with Victoria. Because Nick is like, well, why were you even talking to Ashlyn? Why did you go see Ashlyn? And Adam's like, oh, because whatever plan he had to ruin the business, oh, I wanted in. He was just completely honest. Oh, I wanted in on that. Until he told me it's not going to be about business, it's personal. He goes, and I'm out. I'm not into that. And so he told, that's where he said, no matter how I feel about you two, I definitely don't want anybody to get hurt. That's why I've come to you, and that's why I've told you what I've told you. So he just left that ball in their court. Now, Allie had an interesting conversation. Ashley had an interesting conversation with Allie. And Allie kind of held her own because Ashley was, of course, trying to steer her away from Diane, warn her. And Allie's like, well, she's the one that brought me here to Jack. She's the one that engineered me meeting my grandfather, me knowing all of you, and yes, she could have gone about it. She was a little, no, and Ashley's like, she used you to do it. And she's like, yes, she may have, but I'm grateful that she did. I'm grateful I'm here. And so Ashley may have brought up Phyllis, or actually, I think it was Allie. Allie said, I honestly believe that, she goes, you think I'm really soft, or you think I'm really nice, or I'm really a pushover, or I could be, led down a path or swayed. She said, Ashley, I'm naive. You think everybody thinks I'm so naive. She says, I'm not. I'm not going to let myself be used by Diane. I'm not going to let myself be used by Phyllis. And she goes, and I'm not going to let myself be used. And I think she said swayed by you either. And she says, so excuse me, I need to get ready for my date with Noah. So she comes downstairs in a nice, cute little summer dress, and Ashley compliments her. And she apologizes immediately. I did not mean to come off harsh or sound harsh to you, Ashley. And Ashley's like, please, oh no. You showed me you can stand up for yourself. I respect that, because we Newman women are strong women. And if you can fend off all the different opinions and things that are going to come after you here in Genoa City, and stand up for yourself the way you did here, she goes, you're going to be just fine. So that kind of made Allie smile, and then Noah, of course, talks to Sharon. Oh, he doesn't know how far their relationship's going to go. But then it all came back to he's never really been in a relationship with someone smart, someone not carrying a whole lot of baggage, she's going to be good for him. So he kind of came around to, you're right. She isn't typically the kind of woman I go for, but I could use a refreshing change, someone without all the drama. So we'll see where that goes. But then Sharon convinced him he needs to talk to Nick. So he called Nick, and Nick, at the end, Nick met him at the coffee house, and Noah asked him to sit down because he had something to tell him. So I'm sure tomorrow's episode is where he will tell Nick that he's only going to be at New Hope for a short time. Now, Phyllis and Lily. This was interesting. Lily was waiting for Phyllis, and Phyllis came in, and I'm going to get to Lily's proposal. Phyllis ran into Jack at the park, and Jack was cutting through the park to go, I guess, to Society. No, he was going to Jabot, to meet some of the Marchetti investors and executives. And they were talking, and Phyllis said her piece, that Ashley's on my side. She understands why I did what I did, and Jack was just like, he didn't want to get into it. And he had to leave, so Jack heard her for 2 seconds, and then he left. Well, Phyllis Gets to the hotel. She's a little flustered, but Lily says, I want to talk to you. So she was talking about her vision for the artists for the LP's end of Chancellor Winters. And she was like, we want a nice place for them to stay, a nice place where they could perform. And Phyllis was like, you know what? We could, okay, let's look at some terms to see how it could be mutually beneficial for, the hotel and Chancellor Winters. And Lily's like, oh, you don't quite understand. I'm thinking a little on a different line. And she's like, what are you talking about? So she pulls out the proposal. She's like, I would like to buy the Grand Phoenix. And Phyllis is like, the Grand Phoenix is not for sale. The Grand Phoenix is me. I'm the phoenix that rose from the ashes. So funny. She says, no one thought I could make a successful business, and I've proved everyone wrong. And she says, no, and you've done a fabulous, phenomenal job. This place is, impeccable. And she says, but it's got to be a grind for you, Phyllis, day in and day out. So she slides the offer across. She goes, I'd like to offer you like some freedom here. And Phyllis just looks at the envelope down on the table, and Lily's looking at her like, pick it up. And so Phyllis, I do like her. She's actually funny, so she's kind of like, oh, well, okay. So she picks it up and she looks at the figure, and then her eyes got big and she like put her face into the folder like, is this number real? Of course, they don't talk about what the number is, but Phyllis is like, whoa. And Lily's like, you're going to find this is a more than fair offer. This is how serious I am. So Phyllis, after she kind of shook the number out of her head, she closed the folder and said, the Grand Phoenix is not for sale. It's just not for sale. I'm going to have to turn you down. And so Lily says, well, you know what? I respect your decision, but here's what I want. And she kind of slid the folder back to Lily, and Lily kind of slid it a little more center to the table and says, take some time. Think about it. I just sprung this on you. You haven't had time to digest it. Think about the figure I'm offering you. And, so Phyllis was just looking like, okay, fine, Lily. And Lily walks out. And then a few minutes later, Jack walks in. Actually, Lily is just leaving when Jack walks in. And Phyllis is looking like, what are you doing here? She goes, did you have something else you wanted to say to me? And he goes, no, the Marchetti investors and admin wanted to meet here in the hotel since they're staying here. They wanted to meet here. So that's this way they kind of got a little jet lag thing going on. They could just go upstairs to their room. And he asked if the big boardroom in one of her larger rooms was available, dining rooms was available. And she says, I'm sure it is, or we can make it work. I'll check on that for you. But she said, I need your advice, business advice. And he goes, oh, on what? And so she gives him the folder. Lily wants to buy my hotel for me. And he opens it up and he sees the amount and he goes, whoa, she's serious. This is well above market, right? He goes, from a business standpoint, if you were serious in selling, you're not going to get a better offer than this. This is more than generous. So Phyllis says, yeah, I'm considering it because I don't feel Genoa City. She goes, if it wasn't for summer, she goes, I just don't feel Genoa City has anything to offer me, and I could consider just leaving Genoa City. So then Jack looks at her like, oh, here we go. Here we go. You're trying to manipulate me. And he goes, whether you sell the hotel, whether you stay, it's your decision. It's none of my business what you do. So I can't help you with this. And so Phyllis said something to him, and I forget exactly what she said about, him not caring about her. And then he out and out said, is because I love you. I've always loved you. I still love you. That's what makes this so hard for me. And he walks away from her. And she kind of looks like, huh, okay, he just admitted to me he still loves me. I got a chance. In her mind, she's thinking, okay, I got a chance. I got to work this just right. Right. So he walks off, and now Victoria, she and Nick are finished. Nick is on his way to go meet Noah. And he says, Vic, let me drop you back off at Newman. And she goes, no, it's such a beautiful, lovely day. I'm going to walk. But Nick came back from his phone call, and Victoria was just like really in deep, serious thought at the table, while Nick is gone, like, wonder have I miscalculated Ashlyn? And she's seriously thinking. And that's where he says, okay, let me drop you back off. She goes, no, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to walk through the park. And he goes, Vic, after what Adam just said, you seriously want to walk through the park? And she's like, look, Dad has a security detail following me. They are never too far behind. If anything happens, I can just call them. And in my mind, I'm thinking, as you're being snatched, you'll be able to call them. Or as you're actually being stabbed, you'll be able to call the security team, because she made sure that they're not too close to her. But she's like, they're never too far away. So he goes, well, okay, Vic, it's up to you. So Victoria is walking through the park, texting on her phone, and she kind of gets this feeling. I don't know if she heard a little something, because I didn't hear anything. But you know how when you think somebody's behind you or watching you, you kind of turn and you look, and that's what she did. And then it even gave her a more eerie feeling. So now you kind of see panic on her face here. She's kind of panicking. And she's realizing, oh no, I'm alone in this park, and something is not right. So she's going to rush off. And then it shows Ashlyn step from behind this pillar, and he's just looking at Victoria like, I'm gonna rip you apart. He's just looking at her. And he steps a little bit more out of the pillar and is watching her as she rushes off. And I said, uh-oh. And so it begins. And so it begins. Wow. He's really gonna do the whole making her completely unhinged. Because if we could remember back to the JT storyline, where he was abusive to Victoria. Once someone becomes physical with Victoria, and most women, because it scares you, then you start to realize your own mortality, right? But she shrinks in, and she doesn't tell. She didn't tell people what JT was doing to her. So we shall see what Ashlyn does. What kind of emotions does it truly invoke in Victoria? So that was just a very interesting ending scene today. I was like, uh-oh, this is gonna be good. I actually kind of like this storyline, and I can't wait to see where they're gonna go with it, because Victoria has just been too smug. Ever since she got back, it's just been sickening. So we shall definitely see how they write this. So now it's time for Comment Corner. I have a couple comments. One is from Annette. Annette really is rooting for Ashlyn to be able to see his son. She really believes Harrison is going to end up being Ashlyn's son. I don't know about that, but she thinks so. So you know what, Annette, if they write it that way, you could come back and say, I told you so. And then there's a comment from Mary. Mary says, get ready, y'all. Ashlyn is out for blood. And that was from yesterday's episode. I can't wait to hear the comments from today's episode. And then we have a comment from Monique. Monique says how she never saw Nick do anything at Dark House. Remember that Dark House phase where he was trying to bring down Newman or weaken Newman, because he had a vendetta against Victor. So he poached a lot of Newman's executives. He definitely did that to work for him at Dark Horse, but you never really, Dark Horse had something to do with real estate acquisitions, but yeah, he never really did anything there. And Adam came in and took that away from him so fast, and then let Phyllis be the CEO of it. That was interesting. It was the Phyllis that was replacing Michelle Stafford now. And then I said, yeah, the only thing Nick did was steal Newman employees back in the Dark Horse days. And I had a comment from Nikisha. She says she started watching The Young and the Restless when Steve Burton was came on as Dylan. Remember Nikki's son? She never knew she had. That's interesting. How they write that. She never knew she had a son, an older son. And then she said she had no idea about, how Abby came to be and how Kyle came to be. And so she appreciated that history. Well, look, I love talking history, and that's what we all need to do. But she really doesn't like Jack. She says most people like Jack, but she doesn't like Jack. And she especially didn't like Jack when she first started. Remember when Victor had Jack placed in jail? He's famous for having people locked up somewhere. And he had this imposter impersonating Jack. And he came on in, and poor Phyllis, she didn't even know she's sleeping with somebody that's not even her husband, which was so wrong. I mean, oh my goodness. Phyllis could not get past that. That once she found out that man was not Jack, she was sleeping with, in love with, even though his personality was different, but she thought he was trying to just make some changes. Oh my goodness. And so Nikisha says she lost respect for Jack because he never went after Victor for doing what he did. It was completely illegal. And the guy was a criminal that he put into his house around his family. Yeah, that was a bad storyline. And so she's like, so she knows that, of course, soon after that, Phyllis turns to Billy, and that becomes a whole thing. But Phyllis never felt, and I remember that, she never felt that Jack stood up for her with what Victor did, because she felt she was violated. She was violated and targeted by a man she didn't even know. Yes, he looked like Jack, but I think Victor had him have plastic surgery. I mean, refresh my memory. For those of you out there, did Victor have the imposter do some plastic surgery to look just like Jack? Because I don't think it was just like a doppelganger in the world. I think Victor may have had some plastic surgery done, but refresh my memory, whoever remembers, maybe you, Nikisha, since you came in during that time, maybe you can kind of refresh how the guy ended up looking just like Jack. I would really love to hear that. So those are the comments, and that's the recap for The Young and the Restless on Thursday, July 21st, 2022. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please like the video. Please share this with your friends so that we can get more subscribers, more viewers, more people to talk comments about and talk about the story. I will be back tomorrow.